He is Universe 6's legendary assassin and hailed as one of the most popular characters within the Dragon Ball Super series, but which version between the anime and the manga did they portray Hit to be featured at a better light? On today's video, we will be discussing the concept behind Hit's contribution during the Tournament of Power and how his character evolved from looking at both versions side by side when comparing the anime to the manga. So hold on to your Dragon Balls and grab your popcorn because we are going to be discussing the legendary assassin from Universe 6 Hit next. If you are new to this channel and enjoy what you see, then don't forget to punch that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to receive new and daily content on your mobile devices, desktops, and services that I provide, along with following me on these social media platforms to stay connected with me at all times. Thank you so much for your continued support. Now let's begin. He is universally regarded as one of the most popular characters within the Dragon Ball Super franchise, and here with me to discuss both the anime and the manga comparisons for the assassin known as Hit is my good friend EmoshIsLIVE. As Emosh, I wanted to welcome you back onto the channel as we haven't done a discussion in quite some time, and I really wanted to talk about Hit in the sense where we get to see the clear distinctions between Hit in the anime and Hit in the manga and seeing the difference in comparison. Now, I wanted to ask you what you thought about Hit being a target for Jiren in both the manga and the anime aspect, and for you as a fan, simply having to get your take as to which version you think did the character more justice between the manga and the anime, because for me, seeing visually what Hit was able to go up against and do against a warrior like Jiren was very impressive. However, he kept relying on his time skip, whereas in the manga, we see how Hit was using time skip, but it completely flopped, and thus having to resort in using his tactical side and having to go one-on-one and brawling with Jiren as opposed to using special abilities. So for you, as a fan, looking at both Hit in the manga and Hit in the anime, in your opinion, and you guys can let us know down below as to which, variation you guys favor between the manga and the anime aspect, which version do you believe did the character more justice? And as a fan, how do you think Hit was portrayed in the anime in comparison to the manga?
I feel like the manga kind of did a little more justice because even though Hit did lose to Jiren definitively in the Tournament of Power just like it did in the anime, Hit did not and was never made to look like a fool in the manga.
Right.
Now, the reason I say is because Hit went from being god level in the Universe Season 7 arc to being all of a sudden like fighting on par with a Master Super Saiyan Blue Goku. And even though he didn't fight against Goku, he clearly showcased a technique, if not abilities, that could rival, if not definitively beat Goku in the actual manga iteration of the series itself.
Right.
In the anime, Hit got embarrassed by Dispo. Like, yeah, that's
right.
That should not, you know what I'm saying? Like, even though they kind of explained why he got embarrassed, but still at the same time, it was like, well, it was kind of unfortunate to see Hit be that test dummy to show what Dispo can do, because ultimately Dispo couldn't even damage base form Frieza, but yet was able to bring Hit to his knees during the first half of their encounter with each other. So that was really unfortunate. Hit was kind of stated in the anime to have gotten stronger, yet he showcased nothing of the sort. Honestly, he still relied on the time skip, the same technique that Goku beat on more than one occasion. So if Goku can beat it, what made him think that Jiren could not? In the actual manga, we have no Dispo embarrassing Hit, okay? It's just straight out Jiren. And when Hit said in the actual manga, he said, what do you think I've been doing this whole time? I've actually owned my strength. I've gotten stronger. I've given up on time skip anymore, yeah. Exactly. And he said that he's developed something new. In the anime, we saw something new in that whole little mini arc when Hit was basically hired by Goku to go kill him. We saw something new, but it was still derived from the time skip, in which case Goku just completely thrashed anyway without using Kaioken this time around. But in the manga, Hit developed a new technique, was able to fight without time skip. Like he was just fighting Jiren head on, and then eventually he provoked Jiren and hit him with the time lag. Now, the time cage in the anime is definitively explained to be a continuous use of the time skip on the actual user. But the problem was that he had to actually make physical contact with Jiren before he could initiate it. So once again, too reliant on the time skip. In the manga, Hit just basically has to like fake tri-beam you, and you're caught in it, and then that's it. You're basically like super slow.
But also, if you noticed in the manga, Hit was actually able to move, whereas in the anime, he wasn't, you know, allowed to move. He wasn't doing nothing.
Yeah, he wasn't doing anything. So the time lag in and of itself is just superior to the time cage in every single way, because it's more efficient in terms of an actual fight where someone has to become the victor. The time cage, he wasn't really able to move. He charges at Jiren in the anime to the end, but once Jiren crushes that little orb that Hit was holding onto, whatever that was, that fake Rasengan, the actual time cage stopped, which tells us that that was the actual time skip itself, that Hit needed to maintain that and push him off with that. Otherwise, it was just complete garbage. So once again, in the manga, in my opinion, I think it did more justice to Hit overall from a character development standpoint, from an improvement and strength improvement standpoint. And at least now we know definitively that in the manga, if Hit were to have faced off against that level of Goku, more than likely, if Hit used the time lag on Goku, Goku would have definitively lost against Hit. In the anime, Goku is just basically given a lot of favoritism, and it's not a bad thing. Like, I'm okay with Goku winning, or I'm okay with Goku being stronger than such and such, but for considering how popular Hit was, I think, and considering that's what your question was, I think the manga did Hit more justice in terms of overall development. The only issue is that people are saying that, oh, the anime was better because we saw more of him. Well, if you go back and watch the episodes of when you saw more of him, all you really saw was him recruiting Frost, and basically him getting beat up by both Goku and Dispo. So that's basically all you saw until eventually he ended up losing to Jiren. In the manga, they kind of like saved you from all of that. And they showed you that, yeah, we got stronger, Hit got stronger. He's not relying on time skip. He takes off his jacket. Like, you know, like it's a lot more oomph to it. But I will say that I personally would have also liked to have seen Hit do something to other members competing in the tournament of power in the actual manga itself, considering that we saw 17 get like a multitude of KOs as like within seconds.
Right as the bell rung, he was 18. In there knocking people out. But I think that the only complaint that people have, including myself, is the fact that you just pointed it out. We didn't see Hit fight anybody else aside from Jiren. Now, it's established that early on, Jiren needs to look strong in this fight in taking someone of significant, you know, importance down so quickly before he even had the chance to face off against Goku and his friends early on, which made sense. But at the same time, it's very interesting how in the manga aspect, Hit went from getting bullied by Super Saiyan God Goku, later on Super Saiyan Blue in the manga, till now getting as strong as Mastered Super Saiyan Blue Goku, which is equivalent to Kaioken in the anime. Seeing them fight on par and seeing them go toe-to-toe with the Jiren at that point, even to the point where Jiren wasn't even, you know, exuding more of his powers at all. He wasn't exuding anything. He kept fighting them at such a calm pace, but yet still able to outclass both of them. But looking at the different variations that we saw, do you think that in general Hit was portrayed a little better in the manga because of the aspect of him having to take his martial arts serious, or do you believe that they showcased him a bit weaker in the anime because of his continuous use of the time skip?
He took a beating from Kaioken Time Goku and still continued to improve. After that, even though it's stated that Hit ends up adapting to, like, you know, whoever he's fighting's attacks, that really wasn't improvement. He never really improved the actual time skip itself. It went from improvement to adaptation, which is completely different. The manga, sure, we don't see enough of Hit, but at least we didn't see Hit getting his ass kicked on multiple occasions as to where he should not have gotten his ass kicked. They said he got stronger. They showed us that he got stronger. They used Hit in the manga, and if anything, let me say this: because Hit didn't suffer against Dispo in the manga, because Hit didn't lose to Goku a second time in the manga, and because they showcased how stronger and how much more he's improved in the manga, him becoming at that level of Goku, and if not better overall, losing to Jiren, kind of showcased just how much of a threat Jiren is. And the idea of both Hit and Goku 2 versus 1 in Jiren, and both of them still casually losing, makes Jiren in the manga feel like much more of a threat, in conjunction to the idea that Jiren overall is a overall better character in the manga adaptation.
Do you feel as if in the anime they kind of overused time skip when he fought against Jiren? Because when Jiren even told him, it's like, it's not gonna work, you can continuously do that, it's gonna be repetitive, it's not gonna work. Do you feel like the only reason the manga supersedes the anime aspect is because he did something different, which was put aside his time skip to fight traditionally as Goku did in the manga, in you know, breaking right through his time skip and showing him, you know, it's not just your abilities that can, you know, help you win the fight, it's just basic martial arts. And that's what he did. He took off his coat and he went toe to toe with Jiren, and for that, you know, we get to applaud him in the manga for fighting almost to an equal basis to Jiren, but even though he got outclassed, it was still something different. So how did you feel about the repetitive use of the time skip despite Hit having to be at a disadvantage in the anime?
I didn't mind the repetitive use of the time skip. I just felt like, because we've talked about this before, I felt like Hit should have brought something new to the table, and he did not. So yeah, technically the time cage was something new in the grand scheme of things, but it ended up the same way time skip did ultimately. It just got completely shattered the same way Goku did it. They got beat just like it was in the University 7 tournament, even though technically it was a draw, but you get the picture. So I think they really made Hit really one-dimensional in the anime, and you know, for those of you guys who are hardcore fans and really look at Dragon Ball as being something as to where you improve and get stronger and not deal with the same old based on the same concepts, I think that's where the manga really does a good job there. It's to where Hit gets stronger. He says he's gotten stronger. He says, I've owned my strength, and that's true strength after all. And he completely just lets go of the time skip and shows that he can fight on. He can move quick too. It's stated that, yo, when did he get so fast? I've never seen Hit move that fast before in the manga.
So without time skip.
Yeah, so exactly, and that's without the time skip. In the anime, he was completely reliant on that. So I'm okay with the repetitive use in the anime. I'm just not okay with like them not really introducing anything new to the table, and them just basically embarrassing Hit and just using him as a punching bag, only for him to quote unquote adapt to basically the opponent's attacks and not really improve his own time skip to the point where he has a legitimate shot of winning. Maybe they realized that, oh wait, we're kind of making Hit a little too broken here, you know, but as if that's ever been an issue considering how many times Goku and Vegeta have surpassed their limitations and improved with power. So I think overall, I have to give it to the manga. And I'll admit, I'm kind of like a manga fanboy. I love the manga at all, and I'll be totally honest about that. But I think when it comes to character development, I think that's really important. I think the manga just does a better job overall with Hit. Yes, we didn't see enough of him. 100% agree with you guys when you guys, you know, throw that my way. But overall, the grand scheme of things, Hit felt stronger in the manga. In the anime, he felt like a little.
I think he was portrayed stronger too. But I think adding in Dispo in the anime, I think that was kind of like something that they needed to showcase from Hit in his adaptation feats in trying to overcome such a fast character. As we saw with Dispo, he was able to outblitz even Golden Frieza, Gohan. He's incredibly fast, but I think that they kind of went in that direction in trying to say, okay, well, can he overcome that obstacle before fighting Jiren? And to an extent, that I think that kind of weakened him a little bit, not in the sense of like actual, you know, his physical presence, but I think that it weakened him as a character in saying, okay, well, Dispo almost had him. He almost had him if it wasn't for Hit simply outsmarting him, and that's kind of scary. But at the same time, people will regard Dispo as not being a relatively fodder character, even though he's weaker compared to some of the, you know, heavy hitters in the tournament. You know, by all means, Dispo is pretty formidable when it comes to the realm of speed. But I think that you're right. I think that he was portrayed much stronger in the manga aspect because he didn't fight Goku and he didn't have to go through, you know, Dispo and having to get foddered by him first before having to fight Jiren. However, if there's one character that you as a fan subjectively wanted Hit to fight, at least in the manga, aside from Goku and Jiren, who would that person have been that you would have preferred to see fight, and why? Because for me, this dates back all the way to July, when Toshio first hinted that Vegeta was going to fight Jiren. I think that that fight would have been amazing, and seeing as to how he was basically relative to a mastered blue Goku in the manga, that would have been very awesome to see a mastered blue Vegeta having to fight a Hit now who has gotten so much more powerful than how he was before. So subjectively, as a fan speaking, like, what would have that fight been for you that you would have loved to see in the manga?
I think they hinted that Vegeta would fight Hit, not Jiren. So, but I think overall, if we couldn't get it in the anime, seeing it in the manga, even if it wasn't like a full-out, flat-out fight, like if it, let's just say the fight was just like interrupted or something like that in the manga, I think that would have been okay to see Hit versus Vegeta in the actual manga itself. And maybe he was forced to go Master Super Saiyan Blue, and Hit didn't really want to resort to using time lag against him, so instead he used his own strength to basically fight against Vegeta. Right. And then maybe something happens along the way as to where they bump into Jiren or something like that, and then I don't know how they could have scripted it, but ultimately I just think Even if we got to see Hit just knock off a few, whatever characters, the same way 17, the same way 18, the same way Gohan, Piccolo, the same way Frieza, the same way Frost of Universe 6. Frost bodied half of Universe 9 and Hit got no KOs under his belt.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unfortunate, and even Frost was portrayed beautifully in the manga, I believe, but it's kind of unfortunate that Hit just ended up going straight for Jiren, as to where in the anime, Hit didn't really want to face off against Jiren right away, especially after Jiren one-shotted Kale.
Yeah.
But after the 1 hour special, Hit was more than willing to go after Jiren, because Hit really established that, okay, well, this guy has to go. So I personally don't think that I don't think that I would have liked to have seen Hit body anybody significant. I think that's always a plus. But at the same time, I guess I would have to say that I would have liked to have seen him body garbage characters, or just trash characters, or just characters that maybe in the anime they looked like they were cool, but they did jack shit anyway. Maybe him fighting Maji Kyle would have been cool. In the actual manga, maybe Maji Kyle could be portrayed differently in the actual manga. Maybe Hit ends up fighting Dispo, or maybe he fights Toppo in the actual manga, but performs a little better than he did in the anime. Nice. So I think so. So anything in general, maybe Kasserole, maybe a bunch of Pride Troopers, because right now, like for example, in the manga, Goku was like 5 versus 1 Pride Troopers, like, or something like that, Super Saiyan or something like that. So I think it's a little too much.
Remember when Hit was casually walking around bodying Nariyama, bodying several characters.
Things like that. Things like that we could have seen, maybe to just make other characters look better.
Yeah.
As hype as the chapter was, as hype as seeing Goku as a Super Saiyan fight the way he's supposed to, I just can't help but think that, well, he's soloing a bunch of characters on his own. Gohan and Base is basically taking on Universe 9. Frost sold half of Universe 9. Frost happening to be Universe 6 just like Hit was. And Hit to just all of a sudden just stumble across Jiren and just fall to the ground. And then Goku's like, well, okay, I gotta go blue and walk over to Jiren, and then Jiren fight me instead. I like the pacing, because I think the pacing for that specific manga chapter was better than how they portrayed the 1 hour special, because they made it all about Goku versus Jiren, and then ultimately Hit ended up coming into the fight anyway. But the actual manga, we have both Goku and Hit fighting Jiren, which is a huge deal, because Hit clearly showcasing himself to be on MSSB tier, if not maybe a little more than that, whatever you guys want to call it. And then Goku fighting head-on with Merge Zamasu, minus the hacks. Seeing Jiren just casually slap these two guys around is just wow. So once again, this is why them portraying Merge Zamasu the way they did in the manga is such a big deal. This is why them giving us that Vegeta versus Beerus sparring match is such a big deal, because now we can see that Jiren, even at his lowest and suppressed state, is beyond even that level of power that was showcased against Merge Zamasu, that Vegeta used to spar against Beerus.
He's easily able to body them, no problem, and he's not even at his full power yet either.
Exactly. So that's why I think overall the manga is just doing a overall more solid job. But at the same time, I just want to close out by saying this, that I've said it before, that when you get high quality content, or just better content overall, it's going to feel like it's going by fast, and that's exactly what the manga is doing. See, the anime cannot showcase 5 different scenarios taking place at one time. What they do is they'll give you Gohan versus Dispo, then they'll transition to like Frieza versus Toppo, but Frieza versus Toppo is not taking place after Gohan versus Dispo. It's actually taking place simultaneously, but the manga panel has page real estate to show you multiple panels and screens and scenarios and scans as they're taking place. So the manga has more real estate in terms of visuals to work with. So that's why the anime felt like it was a little longer. And kudos to the manga, because the manga, we're not seeing wasted things like, Rib Brand trolling us for no reason. We're not seeing filler concepts being portrayed just for the sake of dragging on the manga. If the events that took place in the anime took place in the manga's quality would severely fall down. So with that, the manga's going to feel like it's pacing a little faster, because they're really trying to, really use the real estate that they have for each panel. So just to clarify that. But overall, I think Hit overall is just superior in terms of portrayal, his development, and just me feeling satisfied that, okay, at least he can beat Goku this time around if he were able to fight. In the anime, he just stood no chance whatsoever.
From a personal standpoint, I felt as if they did the character injustice in both the manga and the anime aspect, in terms of showcasing what Hit can really do against other fighters. For example, Vegeta, Frieza, Gohan, perhaps other characters aside from just Goku and Jiren. And even at that, we never got an opportunity to see what Hit can do against Goku, now that both of them have gotten significantly more powerful in both the anime and the manga. However, in the manga, Hit feels more like a threat, I believe, and he demonstrates a bit more than what he can normally do with his time skip, which allowed him to adapt a bit better against Jiren in seeing him fight on a comparative level with Mastered Super Saiyan Blue Goku against such characters like Jiren. So I felt like in the manga and in the anime aspect, I really do feel like they did the character injustice, because prior to this, during the Champa arc, Hit was amazing. He just came off as this cold, ruthless assassin, no mistakes being made, and we saw him just get completely foddered in the manga aspect and in the anime for the Tournament of Power. So hopefully enough, if Dragon Ball Super does end up returning one day, we get to see more of what Hit can truly do in both aspects of what he can present as a warrior and as an assassin. But in the end, guys, let us know what you guys prefer down below, the manga or the anime aspect. If you guys favor one over the other, let us know down below as to why. And where do you see Hit's character in the future, and what are your overall thoughts as to how he was presented in both the manga and the anime versions? Thank you all so very much for watching, guys. Once again, if you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to go on ahead and punch that subscribe button, guys. Turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon. Also, if you guys want to watch more videos such as this, more classical discussions and what if debates, you guys can find the link down below and click that and check it out. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. Once again, check out EmoshIsLIVE's channel. I will leave a link to that down below. Slap a like on the video, and we'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys in the next Dragon Ball discussion video. Cue my motherfucking outro, bitch.